the first game of this championship series. Vin Scully, Joe Garagiola with a play-by-play after these words from your local station.
Running of the Cardinals, but I'll tell you, I don't think that he really is the key man in this ball game. The key man is out on the mound. It's pretty obvious. You have to keep Coleman and McGee off the bases. But the move that Valenzuela has may negate any straight steal, although they'll try anything, the Cardinals, and Whitey maybe go into more hit than running. But I got to believe that Valenzuela has a better chance to pick a runner off than Socha has to throw him out.
The first observation of the night, you see where Fernando was standing on the rubber as you look at Coleman's numbers? Remember, the pitching rubber is 6 inches wide and 24 inches long. He will stand on the third base side of the rubber. However, during the game, it would not surprise me if, when he really wants to make a play at first, he will pitch from the first base side of the rubber. Now, you might say, well, what does that mean? Well, that means 2 feet less, and it can mean a very close play at first. So we'll try in not only watching Fernando pitch, but if you get Coleman or McGee, one of the rabbits on the field, we'll point out whenever we think Fernando is not on his normal third base side and is rather on the first base. That's where he normally is.
He'll generally move around. A lot of pitchers, when they siren him, will do that. You know, when they use the cliche, Vin, a game of inches, we're not talking about line drives that just miss or make it. For example, first to second is 90 feet, right? But if the throw is on the second base side, the first base side, the second baseman or shortstop can take the tag. It's only 87 feet. So everybody's trying to pick up a little bit of an edge. Bill Madlock is going to be wearing out the spot that he's standing on. He's already on the grass. Says something is being delayed here. Fernando doesn't seem to be too happy about something. Rosenbach, I guess.
Well, we're about ready to hook up now. You have 5 switch hitters in the lineup. Coleman, McGee, Herb, Pendleton, and Ozzie Smith.
Another quick observation. You saw Socha say, be alive for the bunt. So it's hi-ho silver and a cloud of dust as the Cardinals get ready.
Coleman, and what an incredible story he was, being called up from Louisville. He only had 3 hits and 22 at-bats at Louisville when they called him up. But McGee was hurt. Landrum was hurt. This kid was brought up and went on to steal 110. 0-1, the count to Vince Coleman as we started off. Coleman and McGee and her. The Dodgers with Cabell, Sachs, Duncan, and Madlock. Guerrero, Maldonado, and Marshall. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cabell is deep, so he's not expecting a bunt along first. But up on the edge at third is Bill Madlock. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fouled away off first down the line, and the count 1-2. Fernando Valenzuela hurt his ankle in Atlanta a month ago, and in each of his 4 starts between Atlanta and the pennant clinching, Valenzuela blew a lead in the 6th inning or later, and he didn't win any of those 4 starts. That's very much unlike him. Just missed. 2-2.
That's the pitch he's going to be trying to get all night long. He uses that screwball really to bait hitters. He's got certainly a good enough fastball to strike him out, and he took a shot at that black part of that plate.
2-2. Fouled away. Psychologically, it would be an edge for the Dodgers to get Coleman and keep him off the base paths the first time. And at the same time, it would give the Cardinals a leg up, indeed, if they can get Coleman aboard opening up the game.
And you can carry it a step farther, too, as we look at where he's standing. Will Coleman run on the first pitch?
2 balls, 2 strikes. Fouled away. The Cardinals, to give you an idea of their running game, and I guess everybody knows that they are the runningest team with their 314 stolen bases. At one stage, they stole 35 in a row. I mean, once they get on a roll, look out. And it is the responsibility of the starting pitcher opposite to keep Coleman and McGee off the bases. 2-2. And the Scroogey missed. 3-2.
What he doesn't want to do is the base on balls. There's no defense against that as we look at Lasorda and Peranoski. Peranoski says that Valenzuela gets in trouble when he gets that ball up and misses away high. That's what he watches for. He gets that arm out, the screwball flattens.
High foul down the right field line, peeling off. Marshall coming, can't get there. Now that ball would be caught during the regular season. But in league championship games and in the World Series, there are special seats added, as you can see. And that ball could have been caught on the warning track, but not now. So it's a break for the hitters. 3-2.
In right field, they're almost playing Coleman as if he were batting left-handed. Marshall is really near the line.
And Madlock very wide and about even with the bag at third. 3-2. Fouled away again. So in charting pitches, Fernando, who had worked over 270 innings and could use some rest, has made 9 pitches on the leadoff man alone, and the count 3-2.
When he gets over 100 pitches, that's when they really start to look closely.
High pop foul, and it'll be Cabell, backed up by Sachs, and it'll be Sachs who'll make it. So it took 10 pitches, but they finally took care of the leadoff man, Vince Coleman, on a foul ball. 1 away.
Number 51, center fielder.
This Cardinal team is an absolute juggernaut. Not only did they steal 314 bases, they scored 175 more runs in the opposition. And of course, here's a case in point. Look at his numbers. The league's leading hitter, and now goes in the history books as the best switch hitter in the National League. Fouled away. The best average for a switch hitter in history belonged to Mickey Mantle in 1957. He hit 365, but would you believe it, Mantle didn't lead the league that year. Ted Williams did. 0-1 to McGee. In looking back head-to-head this year, the Cardinals and Dodgers, the idea of not walking these hitters, Coleman and McGee, in 51 at-bats against Dodger pitching, McGee did not get a walk. 0-2. Got him.
That's the message Lasorda wanted to send over to the Cardinals, is that we're going to keep the Jackrabbits off the bases. It looks like a good fastball. Socia lines up outside. Looked like it might have even caught that outside corner. McGee trying to just foul it off. McGee is listed certainly as a good hitter, but the players talk about him being a slasher. He cuts and slashes, and if it's close to the plate, he's going to go after it. But Fernando gets a big couple of outs here.
Tommy Herr with a remarkable combination of a big batting average, a lot of RBIs, and only 8 home runs. First man since George Kell to hit over 100 RBIs and less than 10 home runs, and you go back 35 years for that. Tom hit Fernando pretty well. He went 3 for 8 against him this year. On the fist, and he cracked his bat. He'll have to get another. I could hear that up here.
That is kind of an interesting pitch that Fernando made, because he is reluctant to go inside. He moves the ball in and out, but he is reluctant to go inside, and usually will go inside not for a strike. In contrast, when we see Tudor will throw inside strikes, but I think Fernando likes to move the guys back, but doesn't like to give them that inside strike where they can pull it.
Well, after that workout he got with Vince Coleman now, he has made 8 consecutive strikes. And he is 0-2 on Tommy Herr. 0-1. Hard breaking ball in the dirt. When you talk about a Fernando good fastball, you're talking about 85 miles an hour. That's his neighborhood. That's where he lives.
But with that screwball, that neighborhood has been upgraded. It's not urban renewal.
1-2 the count to Tommy Herr. 2 down, first inning, no score. Just the start of things. Missed with it high, 2-2.
This 2-2 pitch, he doesn't want to go to 3-2. Now, he's been able to really get that outside corner, and we'll watch as Socia sets up there, because the last 2 pitches have been breaking balls, and the pitches that he's been getting, got the first 2 hitters, that fastball.
Herr followed by Jack Clark. Fastball fouled away. A little late getting around on it. So it's still 2-2.
Bears out your point, Vin. It's an 85-mile-an-hour fastball, but you throw that screwball and throw that curveball. You know, that radar gun tells you, like the guy said, he said it doesn't tell us anything our naked eye doesn't confirm, because I know some truck drivers can throw 90 miles an hour and can't pitch. And the other scout said, give me the names of those truck drivers.
I'll take them. I'll write him down slowly. 2-2 to Tommy Herr. One hopper by a dive diving Madlock, and down the line. Over to get it is Guerrero. Herr going to second. And the throw into Sachs. He is in there. So a 2-out double for Tommy Herr. And he is 4 for 9 going head-to-head with Fernando Valenzuela.
And he didn't hesitate as we look at Madlock. It gets by him. And Guerrero got over in good shape, but it certainly didn't stop Tommy Herr. Down he goes.
So Madlock diving at an echo. That thing was by him. A double with 2 out by Tommy Herr would bring up Jack Clark. Clark with 22 home runs, 87 RBIs, missed 43 games because of pulled muscles in the rib cage, and it turned out in a sense to be a blessing, because when Clark got hurt, Whitey Herzog had breakfast with Jim Cott, the Cincinnati pitching coach, and wondered aloud if Cedeno was available. Cott talked to Rose talked to Bill Burgess, and the next thing you know, Cesar Cedeno is on deck. 1 ball, no strikes. Scroogey in there.
That says more than just on deck too, Vin, because as we look at her at second base, Clark, a good fastball hitter. You can throw him all kinds of stuff. You throw him a fastball, he'll fly into action. You've got first base open, but you got Cedeno on deck. Who would you rather pitch to? That's the choice.
1-1. Fastball for a strike. So 1-2 the count of Jack Clark. And there's Cesar. Fernando Valenzuela 17-10. He beat the Cardinals once without a loss. He shut him out 3-0 way back in July. 6-4 lifetime. 1-2. Just showed it to him off the corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Dwight Gooden was once quoted as saying that Jack Clark is the best 2-strike hitter in the National League.
He gets his hacks, I'll tell you that.
2-2 to Jack. Trying to pick up Tommy Herr at first here in the first inning. And wouldn't bite, but it was awful close on that Scroogey. 3-2. Fernando throws 3 speeds to a screwball. That also complicates matters for the hitter.
This will pretty much tell you how he's going to pitch to Jack Clark most of the night, this 3-2 pitch. He has shown him 1 fastball, caught the outside corner, and everything else has been breaking.
And he'll have a look just to see what Tommy Herr is up to. You had better have a look to see what the Cardinals are up to. They have 5 men who have stolen over 30. Tommy Herr has stolen 31. 3-2 to Jack Clark. First inning, no score. Cardinals trying to get off the ground. Plate umpires Dick Stello, Bruce Drumming, John McSherry, Terry Tata on the lines. Paul Runge down the line and left, Jerry Crawford down the line and right, and there is ball 4. So pitching very, very carefully to Jack Clark. Lasorda now sees his man put runners at first and second with 2 outs. Tommy has reason to worry now as Cesar Cedeno comes up. And I just read to the effect crying shame uttered by Lasorda. Cesar Cedeno with big numbers. What an addition to the St. Louis Cardinals. And it should be noted that Fernando has already made 29 pitches, and we're in the first inning. So he has runners at first and second. Tommy Herr at second, Jack Clark at first, and he tries to get Cedeno. Ball 1, 1-0.
He'll not get a complete game at that rate, man. No way.
Oh, no, that'd be 270 pitches.
No way.
He'd be finished for next year.
He's going to need a couple hit the first pitch innings.
1 ball and no strikes. The count is Cesar Cedeno. Scroogey hit down the left field line, foul, and the count 1-1. One thing about Fernando, he has walked over 100 batters for the 2nd year in a row. And he even beat the Cubs this year in a game where he walked 8 and got away with it.
And in this inning, he has shown the Cardinals the whole load. I mean, the truck has been loaded, and he delivered it all. He has nothing, I mean, as far as trick pitches, changing speeds, or whatever. He's shown them everything.
Her at second, Clark at first, and there's a looper to Steve Sachs. He will make the catch for the out. So the Cardinals lead 2, and at the end of half an inning, the St. Louis Cardinals nothing. The Los Angeles Dodgers coming up, and Fernando Valenzuela will have a chance to go back, sit down, catch his breath, and at least shake his head and wipe some sweat away.
It'll be Coleman, McGee, Cedeno in right field. In the outfield, Pendleton, Ozzie Smith, the Wizard, Tommy Herr at second base, Jack Clark at first, Porter behind the plate, Tudor is the pitcher. The key man on defense, Ozzie Smith gets a lot of publicity, but it's Willie McGee in center field. I say that because when you have Coleman, Van Slyke out there, for example, they simply say, we cover from where we're standing to the lines, and we let Willie cover the gaps. If the ball can be caught, Willie will catch it, and he cuts that ball down and cuts it off between the outfielders in the gap. And what that means is that instead of a double, it's held to a single, and the double play is in order. And any ball club that can keep the double play in order on defense has got a good chance of getting out of the inning, and that's what Willie McGee does for him in the outfield.
Talking about getting a good chance out of an inning, look at John Tudor, a 21-game winner, an ERA of less than 2. He matched the all-time record for a Cardinal left-hander, shared by Howie Paulette in 1946 and Bill Sherdell back in 1928. His only loss since May came to Fernando Valenzuela in July, 3-0. He has been incredible. Ground ball to the right side, and Tommy Herr is there, and that takes care of Mariano Duncan. We didn't have time to give you the starting lineup. We might give it to you slowly as Herr blows some bubble gum. Mariano Duncan leading off at short, and Enos Cabell in the number 2 slot at first base. Bill Madlock at third, hitting third. Pedro Guerrero in the cleanup spot in left. Mike Marshall in right field, and Mike Scioscia behind the plate hitting 6th. Candy Maldonado in center field. Steve Sachs at second base, and Fernando on the mound. Strike. Now remember, Tudor has made 1 pitch for an out. Fernando made 9 pitches on the leadoff man alone. No balls, 1 strike.
The thing he does so well, he throws that inside strike, because what that does is widen the plate. The plate naturally is 17 inches across, but when you move that fella back, you widen and you got a 25-inch plate. Tudor is basically a 2-pitch pitcher. Fastball that sinks and tails, and a good changeup. He throws a wide sweeping curve to left-handers, but very rarely. He's in and out and pitches in lanes, very rarely down the middle.
Cabell, a comebacker. Tudor knocks it down, recovers, and calmly throws him out. So 2 down in the first inning, and the batter will be Bill Madlock, who was a teammate of John Tudor's when they were both picking up checks in Pittsburgh.
Then, oddly enough, I asked Mike Rourke, I asked Whitey about Tudor, what does he do that says, uh-oh, he's heading for trouble? And they both said when he stops using his fastball, that means he's heading for trouble, and they have to remind him.
Yeah, I doubt very much if he knows what trouble means. To give you an idea, he finished off the year by allowing a total of 1 earned run in his final 3 starts. Off speed for a strike, 0-1. Can you imagine that?
And that clincher game that he pitched, by the way, he only used 90 pitches to beat the Cubs on that Saturday we did.
10 shutouts John Tudor had this year. There's a ground ball hard, but right to Tommy Herr, and it's a ho-hum inning for John Tudor. A couple of ground balls and 1 hit back to him. So the Dodgers can't hit the ball out of the infield. The Cardinals couldn't get off the ground, and we've got 1 inning in the book. The Cardinals nothing, the Dodgers nothing, and we're just starting. Sunset time in the city of the Angels, and that postcard picture provided by the Goodyear blimp Columbia. The pilot is Captain Nick Nicolari from El Toro, California, and this. And then Ozzie Smith, Pendleton a switch hitter. No score in the second, but a dramatic difference in pitches made between Fernando and Tudor. Pendleton was 2 for 7 against Fernando going head-to-head this year. Big chopper right at Madlock. So there's a break. And the throw, a little toe dance at first by Cabell. If you were Whitey Herzog.
Well, that's an experience. I know what you're going to say.
And I'm going to say to you, hey, that guy made 30 pitches in the first inning. Make him work a little, and a leadoff man hits their first pitch. What do you think?
Well, I think he'll talk to him tomorrow, just like that day he bunted the ball with man on first and third.
But why would you let him go up there? I mean, you're not only the great Whitey Herzog, you've got a whole bunch of high-priced coaches to remind that kid.
Well,
okay.
I'm going to plead ignorance, and I'm pretty good at that.
Well, Whitey's one of these 5 out of 8. Here's Darrell Porter for a strike.
You assume too many things in baseball. You would assume that he would say, hey, I'm going to make him work a little bit, but you can't do that.
0-1 to Darrell Porter. Half swing for a strike. You know, Whitey Herzog, 3 times a winner in championship series at Kansas City in the West, twice in the National League East in '82 and again in '85, so he's 5 out of 8. Without a doubt, one of the outstanding managers in the game. 1-2 the count.
They have really swung around on Porter. Madlock at third base is very wide of the bag. If Porter would hit just a dribbler off the end of the bat down the line, he may run for 2-3 days.
The 1-2 pitch to Darrell. Breaking ball, got him looking. That's strikeout number 2 for Fernando.
Fernando's been around that plate. He certainly has his good control, and he really freezes Darrell Porter here. All he can do is genuflect. Whoops, how do you do? How are you? Watch, what's distracting is when he looks straight up like, whoops, and if you're a batter, you're saying, not up there, pal, I'm over here. And then he closes him to boot, and if you're a married man, you want to call home and say, I'm all right, Mom.
Here comes Ozzie Smith with 2 out in the second inning, no score. Scroogey is hit into left field, base hit. So Ozzie Smith, who just laid the bat on that slow screwball and a 2-out single. Now comes an interesting bit of strategy. With the pitcher John Tudor coming up, a lot of people feel one reason why Ozzie Smith is having such a big year is that they're pitching to him. In other words, they're so afraid of Coleman leading off an inning that they give Ozzie Smith some pitches to hit, where in the past, where he was not hitting 8th and didn't have such a leadoff man, he not necessarily would get even a strike. So here's Tudor, not a bad hitter. 0-1.
Against left-hand pitching, he's not going to do very much, and Fernando should really get the job done with 3 pitches, and Ozzie will be pretty much anchored at first base because they do want Coleman to lead off. They don't want Tudor clogging him up.
Cabell holding the corner, and they'll go over there. And again, we're pointing it out, not with Ozzie, and especially not at this moment, but he's way over on the third base side of the pitching rubber. Maybe that point we made to you about the rubber being 2 feet long, fouled away. Now, you can imagine the difference if a pitcher is on the first base side of the rubber. That cuts off 2 feet of the throw. Then imagine, ideally, you have a left-handed first baseman. In other words, where the glove is closest to the runner. Now you got yourself things going your way. The Dodger first basemen are right-handed, and as you can see, he's still on the third base side. And there goes Ozzie. Ball 1. The throw down, he's stolen it.
There is no way in the world you can come up with any kind of strategy that says this is the time to steal. 2 strikes, no balls on the pitcher, 2 outs, you got your real fast man on, so it just proves these Cardinals will run at any time, anywhere. They're just going to run, and if nothing else, that sends a message, which I'm sure the Dodgers knew was coming. Tough ball for Socia to handle. Big breaking ball. Perfect pitch for Ozzie, who went just straight in.
And, of course, the more times you make the Dodgers handle the ball, the more chances are, because of what they've done this year, that they might make the miscue. And just pile this away. Ozzie Smith has stolen third 5 out of 6 times this year. There's a little ground ball to Sachs. To Cabell, and they're out of the inning. They were playing with house money in the sense that Vince Coleman is going to lead off. The end of an inning and a half. The Cardinals nothing, the Dodgers nothing. Gets the gloved hand out and twists it the wrong way. If he had twisted it backwards, it would not nearly have been as serious as twisting the hands, the palm, towards the forearm.
He may have gone to a lighter bat. He was debating. He used a lighter bat in batting practice because the problem has been he just will not spin into it. You can watch him hit. He's hit with power to the opposite field, but he's just not been able to really pull the ball. He's had to overcompensate. Guerrero
last year hit 16 home runs, and of course this year he tied Steve Garvey's output with 33. And one reason is the way he holds his bat. Watch where the bat is, straight up. See that? Last year and for quite some time, he had the bat almost parallel to the ground, and when Manny Mota got him to hold it straight up, suddenly the home run started in June. He's developed a bad swing, and one reason, and he's first to admit it, he wanted so badly to break Garvey's home run record and wanted 34. He's developed all kinds of bad habits. Plus, of course, with the injury, he doesn't have any pop with the bat.
That's the biggest culprit, because you try to favor it and you do things you don't ordinarily do.
1-1 to Guerrero, followed by Marshall and then Socha. Strike inside corner, 1-2. Great pitch.
Tudor really pitches lanes, inside, outside lane, rarely down the middle. He just spots the ball so well. Threw 6 pitches in the first inning, all strikes. 28 for Fernando.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Guerrero. Way out in front. I'll tell you one thing. They talked about Dodger power. You can discount a goodly portion of it from Pedro Guerrero, I believe. He is not nearly the hitter that he was before he hurt himself. He is a shadow of himself. Take a look at this.
Look at Porter's shift outside. Ball is out of the strike zone, coming in. It's low, and yet Guerrero trying to protect it, and you see that hand fly off that bat immediately.
So he is hurting, and the team is in bad shape as Marshall hits the first pitch to Terry Pendleton. And just like that, you have 2 out in the second inning, and Tudor has retired 5 in a row.
Well, you talk about Pendleton hitting the first pitch. The Dodgers are not exactly making Mr. Tudor work. He's throwing strikes, and they're jumping on the first pitch.
We'll pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
KTHI TV 11, Fargo, Grand Forks.
He was an unsung hero until the last month of the season, when people realized just what a contribution he made. Socha wound up the regular year hitting .296. You have to go back to 1955 to find a Dodger catcher who hit .300, and that was the great Roy Campanella. Socha did a magnificent job, 7 home runs, and of course blocks the plate at risk of life and limb as well or better than anybody in the game. 3-0.
Isn't it strange? Tudor tried to throw the sidearm curveball twice to Socha, found himself behind. Now he's 3-0.
And it's in there, 3-1.
He blocks the play, Vin. He is a human dead end, is what he is.
Maybe later on we'll show you a dead-end collision between Jack Clark and Mike Socha. Line drive, down the line, foul, and out of play.
I'll tell you something. Behind the plate, he is improved. He's not exactly a patsy. I mean, he had a bad streak in there, but he's got some pretty good numbers as far as getting base runners.
3-2. It in the air into shallow left center field, and it's Coleman and McGee, and it'll be Vince Coleman. So a routine second inning. That means John Tudor has retired 6 in a row. The end of 2 no score. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Game 1 of the 1985 National League Championship Series is brought to you by Visa, accepted worldwide for shopping, dining, and travel. Visa, it is the second time around as we go to the 3rd inning at Dodger Stadium. No score. Vince Coleman, followed by Willie McGee, and then Tommy Herr. Coleman fouled out to Steve Sachs after 9 pitches. First ball swinging pops to Sachs.
Ben, while we got a chance here, I just want to get this in. There was some speculation there might be some jockeying to fix the infield between first and second to slow down the Cardinals and doctor around home plate. I asked almost all the Cardinals, and they pretty much said the same thing. No, the infield is fine. It's hard in spots. It was hard yesterday, and home plate is a little bit hard. You'll see some high bounces, but there has not been any doctoring that can be noticed.
Well, here's Willie McGee, the league's leading hitter. 0-1. As we said in the opening, the Cardinals are so great. They have the league's hitting champion, the stolen base champion, and 2 20-game winners, all on the same team. Little fly ball to center. Maldonado was there. To find those ingredients to make up a team, you have to go back 70 years to the 1915 Detroit Tigers. It's quite a team that has arrived here from St. Louis. Yet it should also be pointed out, in their 12 meetings head-to-head, the Dodgers won 7 of the 12. And in 8 of those 12 meetings, the Dodger pitchers allowed the Cardinals 3 runs or less. So again, we get back to pitching. Tommy Herr doubled by Madlock, who is shortened up at the bag, and bunt foul. So Madlock was looking bunt.
Cardinals are liable to try anything to get something going, and I tell you, Tommy Herr had a good year, and boy, it really bothers me when I hear people say, well, he gets a lot of fastballs to hit because of Coleman and McGee. Well, maybe he does, but when he gets it, he knows what to do with it. He's been a solid hitter, just this year had one of those outstanding years.
0-1 to count to Tommy Herr. Check swing, a look at first, no swing, says Bruce Fleming, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Take another look.
Very decisive. I have to agree with Bruce.
I have a lot of admiration for Tommy Herr. You know, following the 1982 World Series, he had 2 operations on his left knee, 1 on his right knee, and yet you watch him as the middleman at second base on double plays. He doesn't give an inch.
No, he doesn't.
2 balls and 1 strike. 2 down, 3rd inning, no score. The Cardinals had 1st and 2nd with 2 out in the 1st inning. Ozzie Smith stole 2nd with 2 out in the 2nd. The Dodgers have been retired 6 in a row. 2-1. Big chopper to Duncan. Short hops, throws, gets him. And at the end of 2.5, no score. Cheat a little by moving over to the first base side of the rubber. Can a catcher cheat at all in his crouch? Anything he can do to help?
No, the only thing he can do is try to frame the pitch and not move too much, and maybe just kind of slide over and maybe get the borderline pitch. He's not trying to cheat to steal the pitch, just get the ones that are coming to him.
What about coming out of a crouch? Does that not take the low ball, low strike away because he's suddenly obscuring the umpire's view?
Not really. That's not cheating, though. That's maybe circumventing the rules, but that's not cheating.
I just brought it up. Bottom of the 3rd, no score. The game's within the game. And it'll be Candy Maldonado, Steve Sachs, and Fernando Valenzuela. A little soul-searching on the part of Lasorda as to who should play center field against Tudor. And Candy pops it up into that powder blue. A trio of Cardinals, and it is Cedeno. Tough to see that ball. Tough to get a jump at this stage.
Must have been tough because the word is that Willie McGee takes everything in California that's up. Steve Sachs. You see McGee, he just backs off. Cedeno has to take it all away.
So a good play by Cedeno. 1 out. That means Tudor has retired 7 in a row. And here is Steve Sachs. Saxy hitting .279 for the regular year. He did very well after an off season. Just 1 home run, 42 RBIs, and not an extra base hitter. Despite all of his running speed, you do not look for extra base hits from him.
He's been hitting a lot of balls to the opposite field, and he has pulled Pendleton in at 3rd base with that fake bunt.
1-0. And he promptly hits one into center, and there's the Dodgers' first hit. You have a very, very interesting bit of strategy for Tommy Lasorda for a couple of reasons. Number 1, the Dodgers led the league in sacrifices, and you have the pitcher coming up. However, he has sacrificed less with Valenzuela than any other pitcher on the team. And you figure this is going to be a low-scoring game. So the question for Lasorda, do I want Valenzuela to try and sacrifice? Do I want Clark anchored on the bag and let Sachs have a shot at stealing? And let's see. And he almost had Clark coming into the plate. Sachs, he averages about 25 stolen bases every year. chalk goes foul. So we got the first answer to the question. They were going to have him bunt.
And the Cardinals really were not looking for the bunt per se. I mean, nobody was charging hard. Clark laid back, and so did Pendleton. As you watch Valenzuela really checking the Malfitano to see if he wants to switch off. Fernando really waits until the last minute. He's not a bad hitter, and looks like he had a pretty good bunt. Deadened it well, but foul ball. The starter likes to switch off if they're charging hard and let him hit.
Well, they'll keep an eye on Sachs. With 1 out in the 3rd inning, no score. John Tudor and Fernando Valenzuela. Game 1.
Two times he threw over there, and they're hoping that Valenzuela would indicate by just a slight movement up the bat handle that he's going to be bunting, but I was watching his hands that time, didn't budge.
Sachs was leaning that time. He had most of his weight on his right leg. That seemed to indicate that he was going to go. They might even try hit and run with Fernando. He is the team's best hitting pitcher as far as average. And he got the bunt down. So it's a sacrifice, Darrell Porter to Jack Clark. So one part of the theory held up. The Dodgers lead the league in sacrificing, and they do it.
Valenzuela does so many things by instinct. I mean, you can talk to Peranowski, his pitching coach, and he'll give you chapter and verse plays that he's pulled off on the mound. And a play like that, he never once tipped off what he's going to do. I don't know how he learned or where he learned how to play, but wherever, he learned well.
So Fernando moves him up a notch. With 2 out, the Dodgers have Sachs at second, and the batter will be Mariano Duncan. It shows you really what a crapshoot it is. Willie McGee and Tito Landrum are hurt, and the Cardinals bring up Vince Coleman. The Dodgers had Steve Sachs hurt in an exhibition game against the Angels. Baylor was hurt. Russell wasn't right, so they brought up a kid who should by rights have spent the year at Albuquerque, and it turns out to be Mariano Duncan. And he's from that same town in the Dominican, San Pedro de Macorís, that has produced a lot of players, including several eye-catching big league shortstops. Tony Fernandez, Rafael Ramirez, Alfredo Griffin, Julio Franco. And now Mariano Duncan, who grew up idolizing Cesar Cedeno, of all people. And now he's battling against him. 1-0. Turned it over, got the corner.
You may have noticed Sachs as he took the lead. It's a unique way that it does. Now watch him walk towards the outfield, and he'll just kind of stand there. And now as he takes his lead, he'll walk towards the pitcher and then towards the back.
Maury Wills taught him
Yes.
that. That is a theory that Wills teaches all of the Dodger young runners. The point being, you should always be in motion when the pitcher is delivering. So watch, you'll see Sachs never break from a standstill. He'll always be moving.
It's also an optical illusion, and go back farther than Wills. The great Jackie Robinson did it better than any of them. He looked closer and got farther from you than anybody, faster than anybody I ever saw.
2-1 to count. Sachs on the walk. Foul tip, and the count 2-2. Mariano Duncan, a switch hitter and a much better right-handed batter. He wound up the year hitting .286 from this side, but he really paid the bill on the job training as a left-handed batter. He hit only in the 220s from the other side. So deuce is wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. 3rd inning, no score. Ground ball to third, right to Pendleton, who cranks it up and throws to Clark. So the Dodgers lead Sachs, and it figured we got a tough one going at the end of 3. The Cardinals nothing, and the Dodgers nothing. Clark, Cedeno, and Pendleton. In the memory of Walter and Kay O'Malley will never die, not as long as they play baseball here, ever. In the 4th inning, no score. Jack Clark, Cesar Cedeno, and Terry Pendleton. And look at Fernando. You talk about cutting down on pitches. Now, if you could reduce the national debt that quickly, you'd really have something.
It'd be a miracle.
Strike to Jack Clark, who walked in the 1st inning. When you think about it, the Dodgers hate Clark from another movie. I mean, they have feelings for him going back to when he played for the Giants. So they know all about Jack. And as usual, a ferocious swing from Clark. 0-2. On the fists and fouled away. Late start by Socia, so they're still having trouble picking up the ball.
Clark is one of those hitters, and there are a number of them in both leagues, that Don Baylor of the Yankees said it best, that when they go in the batter's box, they're actually in scoring position.
Yeah, he's a wonderful player to watch. In fact, even the notes bear out for Clark. He's got on base, even coming back off injury, in 44 of his last 53 games. Somehow or other, to find a way. 1-2. And of course, if he hits a home run in a Cardinal game, it's almost the sign of the winner. And that's not bad for Fernando's fastball, 86. And that time in the dirt. 2-2. That's another thing you'll notice. We pointed it out on the Game of the Week throughout the year. Here at Dodger Stadium, the consistency of the soil around home plate. If the pitch is in the dirt, the umpire will immediately throw the ball out of play. 2-2. Ball 3. Off-speed screwball. We get a report from Mike Brito that off-speed screwball was 77 miles an hour. Now, we've had his fastball clocked up around 87 to 88, so it's a pretty good difference. 3-2. Bounce it to Madlock. So Fernando has retired 5 in a row since Ozzy's single. 1 down. And the batter, Cesar Cedeno. Cedeno, going head-to-head with Fernando in the last few years, has roughed him up for a couple of home runs. He popped up in the first inning. Interesting, too, you know, we talk about Vince Coleman stealing 110 bases. You know that if you subtract Coleman's 110 steals, the Cardinals still lead the league in stolen bases. We don't talk about speed.
Well, Whitey has got such a system. 5 guys go at all times unless he tells them to hold, and 5 guys have to get the green light. So, I mean, everybody, including the trainer, appears to have the green light to go.
Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Missed. 2-0.
Didn't you love Lasorda's line talking about green lights and all that? As we look at the stolen bases through the years.
The one that shocks you, you forget the 76 Oakland A's. They stole 341 in the really modern time with the lively ball. The others, of course, are back-aways. 2-0. And he's behind 3-0.
Talked about the green light. Lasorda says he has a purple light that he gives to Socia, which means if you run, I'll kill you.
Purple light. 3 balls and no strikes. Cedeno will run if he gets on. Pendleton on deck. And they let him swing 3-0. 3-1.
There's only a few that get that as we look at Pendleton. Cedeno is one. Clark obviously is another one. He let Tommy Hurd do it 3-0.
And 1 strike, the count. Sachs over to the right to fill up the middle. Screwball fouled away. 3-2. You might remember we talked earlier this year about quality starts, which is a very good new statistic. It really tells you about pitchers. Better than a lot of other things, especially since complete games have disappeared. Give you an idea, Tudor has 27 quality starts. Valenzuela 24. 3-2. Ground ball to Sachs. A quality start is where your starting pitcher goes 6 innings or more and allows 3 runs or less. So it's no surprise Dwight Gooden had the most. But it's an insightful statistic for starting pitchers. Rick Russell might surprise you. Rick Russell for Pittsburgh made 26 starts. 24 of them were quality starts, and that was a guy who was on the scrap heap.
And I also liked he re-signed with Pittsburgh, said I owe him something.
The bunt up along third, a one-hopper barehanded by Madlock, and it is safe as Cabell evidently came off the bag.
what Fleming is saying. You came off to bag. Cabell doesn't believe it, and as always, he's going to lose the argument. Here's the play.
Maybe he's also maintaining about possession of the ball, but
he's
it's
got
sitting
the
up
ball.
there.
Yeah, he's got the ball. Good play by Matlock. His only chance was the barehanded play, and he makes it. I can't see that foot, though.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick it off.
It looked like he went back. It looked like he went back for it.
Well, we'll see how important that is now. Darrell Porter up there with Cabell on the bag at first, and Pendleton a threat to run. So a single to third. Keep an eye on Fernando. Remember, we told you the third base side of the rubber or the first base side of the rubber. He's about pretty much almost on the first base side. So if Pendleton is thinking about stealing, Fernando is going to cheat over a little bit. And that's not like him. Watch him. See that? Now, he rarely pitches from that part of the rubber. But that's a difference of almost 24 inches in throwing to first. Yeah, picked him off. Cabell down to Duncan. Duncan to Cabell. And they got him. And Fernando set him up. He cheated 20 inches to first base and picked him off.
And he's got a good move, and it's the move that gets him. They can't read him, and they try to time it, and he just picked him off slicker than the whistle. That's where he hangs him, and Pendleton just couldn't wait anymore.
The secret of that is Fernando's incredible balance, and it's scoreless for 3.5.
It's the move that gets him. They can't read him, and they try to time it, and he just picked him off slicker than the whistle. That's where he hangs him, and Pendleton just couldn't wait anymore.
The secret of that is Fernando's incredible balance, and it's scoreless for 3.5.
Talk about breaking too soon. Watch Fernando's looking at him, and Pendleton breaks right here. Look at there. He's got 3 steps, and all Fernando has to do is give it to Cabell. He just couldn't wait anymore. The body was ready to leave the shoes.
The thing that Ron Peronowski always talks about is the incredible balance of Fernando Valenzuela. So many pitchers can get on one foot, lift up the other, and they have the equilibrium of a drunken stork. But for Fernando, he can seem to freeze like a statue, and when people do steal on him, they really almost blunder into getting him going the wrong way. They rarely is there a close play at second base. They either steal it easily or he hangs you out to dry, as he just did. And he made it a little easier, as we pointed out to you, moving over on the rubber. Now it's the Dodgers. Enos Cabell, Bill Madlock, and Pedro Guerrero. You got a dandy. No score in the 4th. Right. Prospered by coming over to Los Angeles, and he's been swinging a very good bat for him. Little foul off first. Clark coming over, no play. Back in, 0-2.
You watch Tudor pitch, and I can't help but think of Lamar Hoyt of the San Diego Padres when he described his delivery, and Tudor's pretty much the same way. He called it relaxed aggression, and that's about what it is.
Yeah, you know, you could compare his numbers with Bob Gibson, but it's a totally different element of attack. Waved at and missed. For instance, Tudor has 10 shutouts. That's the most by any National League pitcher since Bob Gibson had 13 back in 1968. And you know, Gibson, like Tudor that year, struggled at the start of the year, where Tudor was 1-7 and turned it around. Gibby was 3-5 and wound up 22-9. But what scares me about Gibson when I talk about him in 1968, he had an earned run average of 1.1. How can you possibly pitch that good? It's impossible.
Typo.
It must be. 0-1 to Madlock. 4-time National League batting champion. I'd like to remind our viewers we'll be selecting the NBC Light Beer from Miller Player of the Game at the conclusion of the old ball game. 1-1 to Bill Madlock. Good pitch. Got the inside corner. Madlock had quit on it, and it stayed there. 1-2. Discussing the merits of the call with Dick Stello.
I used to love to listen to those discussions.
Oh, yeah, I bet. And you didn't add to him at all, did you?
No.
No. Pulled a ground ball on the outside, and it's kicked by Pendleton. I would expect Madlock to normally take that ball and go to right field with it. But he went out after it and pulled it and got away with it on the error by Pendleton.
Seemed like Pendleton just waited for the ball. He was breaking to his left like he didn't pick it up really right away and just booted it. It's a major league error. He took that one quick step to his left. Watch it right there. Now he's got to come in like he really didn't see it that well.
So Madlock is aboard on the error charge to Terry Pendleton, and Guerrero at the plate, way out in front. He started that swing sometime early this morning. 0-1.
He's got a little percentage going, Vin. He's been hitting the ball because of the bad wrist to the opposite field, and he's even got that Manny Mota bowling glove on now, and there's a big gap between first and second.
He didn't have that on the first at bat. He told me before the game, he said it doesn't help, but he's going to try it. 1-1. Bill Madlock laughingly talked about it. He came over to the Dodgers and promptly stole 7 out of 8 bases. And he said, I wouldn't have come over here if they told me I'd have had to run. But they've run him. He went from Mad Dog to Los Angeles. Here he's known as Glad Dog. 1 ball, 1 strike. To figure out what Lasorda would do with Guerrero. Normally you don't expect hit and run because he hits a lot of fly balls, but this is not the same Guerrero. It's a whole different atmosphere here with him at the plate. And there goes Madlock, and it is swung on and missed, and into second base goes Madlock.
Couldn't get the ball out of his glove. He changed speeds, and it's a stolen base for Madlock.
He's only stolen 8 out of 9. A swift one. Tough pitch for Darryl Porter to come up with anyway. Guerrero is over swinging and has been way out in front. 1-2 the count. Seen a lot of players have a hot 10 days. I remember when Ron Say was with the Dodgers, he could carry the ball club for 10 days. I've never seen anyone carry a team for a month, which is what Guerrero did, and then turn the whole club around. He carried them in June, and the Dodgers then were 20-7 in July. Little fly ball to right. Going to be trouble. It's going to land. Madlock is being waved in. Cedeno way offline. The modern-day ball player calls it a flare, a modest thing but thine own. A bloop single to right for Guerrero and an RBI. Remember, he's had only 6 RBIs since the 7th of September, but he gets one tonight, and now here's Marshall. Dodgers lead 1-0 in the 4th on the error by Pendleton. That's cash in, followed by the stolen base by Madlock. Marshall had a monstrous September and October. 39 RBIs. Fouled away. 0-1. So as Guerrero struggled, Marshall picked him up. And with Clark out, Cedeno picked him up, and Herr picked him up. And that's why these two teams are here.
You've got to have that team effort. Guerrero ignited him, and then everybody started to go.
0-1. Pretty hard to put a play on with Mike Marshall because he strikes out a lot. Of course, he hits a lot of home runs, too.
He's a lot like Jack Clark, a real hacker. When he gets that pitch, he's going to hit it hard.
0-1. Dodgers 1 run, 2 hits. Cardinals no runs, 3 hits, and an error. The error by Pendleton, then the stolen base by Madlock, and the bloop single to right by Guerrero. fly ball down the left field line. Coleman coming and coming right across the line to make the catch, and holding on at first is Guerrero. So with 2 down, Guerrero at first and Mike Scioscia coming up. And of course, of all the players in the starting lineup, the top 2 as far as hit and run is concerned would be Mike Scioscia and Enos Cabell. But of course, Scioscia is facing a left-hander and a control artist. So we'll see what happens. 2 down here, 1 run over in the 4th. Dodgers leading 1-0. Right. After Scioscia comes Maldonado. Tudor comes in here with having won 11 straight, 10 shutouts, and keeping an eye on Guerrero.
Porter says keep an eye on Guerrero.
Corner, he just painted it.
And you may have noticed that Tudor just held that ball a little while longer. He's changing the kind of the tempo between pitches.
John Tudor, most strikeouts in a game, 9. He did that twice. And he's watching Guerrero. He not only had 10 shutouts, but twice he pitched 10 innings, both time against New York. Didn't allow a run either time and didn't get a decision. He could have had 12 shutouts. Boy, is he watching Pete. Guerrero, by the way, has stolen a dozen bases this year. Nothing Dodgers, bottom of the 4th, 2 out. Well, you think that was Vince Coleman over there?
Interesting that he's doing all that. You can't take anything for granted. It's as old as the game itself, but the situation being what it is, you wouldn't expect him to run.
There he goes. Curveball outside. Porter's throw, wrong side of the bag.
There's the difference. I think Lasorda just keeps sending messages over there. And Guerrero taking off a big stolen base. It's way out of the strike zone. Porter has trouble getting over there. He's down on 1 knee, and there's no way he's going to get him now. He's already lost the play.
Darrell Porter, in all fairness to him, was on the disabled list twice this year. Broken toe, broken finger. He's probably not 100%, and they're going to try and take advantage of it. Fouled away the other way. How about this? It's the 4th inning of game 1. The Dodgers and the Cardinals. 2 stolen bases to 1. Who's got the 2 stolen bases? Would you believe?
Upside down game.
1-2 to Mike Scioscia, trying to pick up Guerrero. Scioscia had 53 runs batted in during the regular year. That's a career high for him. 1-2. Throwing that around the corner.
That's that big sidearm curveball that he rarely uses. Looked like he was going to get him with that one, but it just broke too much.
Scioscia rarely strikes out. He is 2nd on the team in walks. So for Tudor to get him, he's really going to have to make a good pitch. I mean, to get him to strike out. 2-2. High pop fly. Back at 3rd. Ozzie says he'll take it. And that's that. So Scioscia pops up. The Dodgers get an unearned run, and they will gladly take it. And there were 2 stolen bases. And we'll be back. But first, these messages from your local station.
Tuesday on the A-Team.
I'm the clean racing car.
The track is hot. The girls wild. The bad guys are mean, but the A-Team has high hopes. Tuesday.
How many used cars does it take to make a mile? Enough to hold our biggest used sale of the year. Overbold has taken in a record number of trades because of 7.7. To move this inventory, we must sell 100 used cars in a week. During our miles of savings, you'll get
Game 1 of the 1985 National League Championship Series is brought to you by... We're going to the 5th inning here at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers 1, the Cardinals nothing. Darrell Porter, followed by Ozzie Smith, and then John Tudor. Porter has given Fernando a bad time head-to-head over the years. He's hitting .389 against him with a couple of home runs, and he didn't like that strike call. He had a big LCS for St. Louis in '82, if you remember. 5 for 9. He also walked 5 times. 1 ball and 1 strike. The St. Louis Cardinals came in here with 101 victories. 2-1 to count. The Dodgers with Fernando Valenzuela and Mike Scioscia, Enos Cabell and Steve Sack, Mariano Duncan and Bill Madlock, Pedro Guerrero, Candy Maldonado, and Mike Marshall, with Maldonado slightly over towards right center. 3-1 to Porter. Like Scioscia, he has a very good eye at the plate. Is that because he's a catcher, seriously? Do you get to where you really understand the strike zone better because you're catching?
I don't think so.
No?
I know that Bertie Tebbett's a great catcher and manager. Always said he could hit any pitcher he ever caught. I didn't believe that either. But...
3-2. And that's stroked into right center and will fall. Maldonado over to play it on a hop. So Porter, a line drive single to right center field, and now the Cardinals try to come back. That is hit number 4 against Fernando, and it'll bring up Ozzie Smith, who, remember, singled in the 2nd inning and stole second. Ozzie is 1 for 1. Now here's a man you can put a play on, although you don't have a runner in Porter. Ozzie strikes out about once every 22 at-bats and has never struck out more than 49 times in a year. Strike.
Put a play on for that very fact that Porter can't run and stay away from that double play, which is the inning record. Ozzie is a hit and run man. Good contact hitter.
Al Lanier might have hung out a sign. In the dirt, blocked nicely, and Porter will draw a throw if nothing else.
Porter's lead is not very big. I tell you, he's only about a half a step off first base.
1 ball and 1 strike. The count to Ozzie Smith. Darrell Porter at first, top of the 5th inning. Dodgers 1, Cardinals nothing. Natural rivals, the Dodgers and the Cardinals. Boy, the history books tell you that. The first playoff in National League history between the Brooklyn Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. It was your club in '46, and you won 2 games to none.
2 out of 3. Murray Dixon pitched great, and that second one, Burkeen struck out Howie Schultz ended.
2-1. Check swing. They're going to look. No swing, says Frumming. Well, since you have a man who doesn't strike out and a very slow runner at first, you would certainly expect them to play run and hit, meaning, of course, that Ozzie doesn't have to swing at ball 4. So let's see if all that figures. Look at the lead by Porter, and he's not going. On a fly ball to left, Guerrero, a little bit of a startled reaction, but makes the play. That's strange.
What is?
First, that Porter's right on the bag, and second, they didn't have him going with a fellow who always makes contact.
I almost think that Whitey might have sent him 3-2, but 3-1, let him just hit the ball. Porter's lead is not very much. Maybe Darrell heard somebody stole a bag, and he was going to kind of guard it, but he was going to give Ozzie a chance to hit that 3-1 pitch. Looking for the bunt here, and you can bet that they'll really be charging hard.
And he's a good bunter and takes a strike. Both Cabell and Madlock putting a pinch on him. Tudor has sacrificed 7 times, and then you have Vince Coleman leading off. He's
going to have to make Cabell, even though Cabell is charging hard. That's where I think he'd be making him bunt the ball towards first.
0-1. Foul ball and the count 0-2. That, of course, if they can get Tudor, makes it a little easier to pitch to Coleman because that clogs up the bases, having Darrell Porter at first. Coleman doesn't have a free rein. He has fouled out and popped up each occasion to Steve Sachs. Dodgers 1, Cardinals nothing. Top of the 5th, 1 out. 1-1. 1-2. Nick Leyva coaching at first for St. Louis. Al Lanier over at third. Of fingers that went down by Socia 3 times. I wonder if that didn't mean throw to first, huh?
He's pumping signs is what he's doing. They're not reading fingers. I don't believe.
2-2.
It's kind of hard to see fingers, so what you do is 3 pumps, fastball, 4 curveball. It's the number of times that you pump that really tell you what's happening. It could be very simple. 1 pump is fastball, 2 pumps would be curveball, 3 pumps would be change of pace or screwball.
2-2 the count. And he's bunting in the air, foul, and he is struck out. So John Tudor unable to sacrifice. That becomes a 3rd strikeout for Fernando. It keeps Porter at first and will bring up Vince Coleman. Fernando's high in strikeouts 14. Tudor's high in strikeouts 9 this year. So here's Coleman twice hopping to Sachs. Young Vince 0 for 2. When Whitey Herzog sent him out in the spring, he said, I'm probably sending the Rookie of the Year back to the minors. Before you knew it, he was up here helping him win the division.
Shading towards right field, and that's what you saw Socia doing and moving everybody over. The thing about Coleman, he gets a lot of publicity for his stolen bases, but Whitey also says the thing, as we look at the defense shading towards the line, the thing that he's done is given him good defense in the outfield.
Chase that one. By the way, Fernando is still making a lot of pitches. He has now made 90 pitches, and we're in the 5th inning.
Over 100 pitches, they'll start to watch him closely.
0-2 the count. Check swing, foul outside of first, so it's still 0-2.
That's what's so hard, though, Vin, because right now he looks strong. He looks like he's in control. In that first inning, when he made all the pitches, he was kind of floundering around a little bit, but he looks like he's in control, but it's been a tough season for him, as you pointed out.
Well, here's the count, 0-2 now. Screwball got him, and that makes the load a little lighter as he strikes out his 4th. They leave Porter at first, and at the end of 4 1/2, the Dodgers 1 and the Cardinals nothing. Bottom of the 5th inning with the Dodgers leading the Cardinals 1-0. 1 run, 2 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. No runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Cardinals, and it's been the difference. An error by Terry Penelon on a ground ball by Bill Madlock. Madlock stole second, and Guerrero hit a blooper into right field for a base hit to score Madlock. So for Pedro, he's the proud possessor of the only RBI as he talks to Mariano Duncan, and we move into the bottom of the 5th. Candy Maldonado, followed by Steve Sachs, and then Fernando Valenzuela against the brilliant John Tudor. Just flipped that thing in there. 0-1. Candy, a youngster from Puerto Rico. 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Cardinals are so well-rounded. They are one of 3 with the best record on the road, and they are the best team in the National League at home. They're 47-34 on the road. They beat you anywhere. And Maldonado goes down. We mentioned that Tudor and Valenzuela had faced each other once before, and it was the only loss that Tudor resulted. That was the box score. As you can see, the Dodgers got 2 in the first and another in the 4th inning, and that was it. The game-winning RBI, Bill Russell. It was also a bloop into right center by Mike Marshall that had a lot to do with it. So neither side really wore the other out. And here's Marshall. Sacks up there now. It was Marshall who followed Guerrero, who had stolen second in the 4th inning. And it was Guerrero this time who had gotten the bloop off Tudor to drive in a key run. Sacks singled in the 3rd inning. Check swing and a one-hopper to Clark. He'll do it himself. But it is still rather interesting, at least up to here. There have been 3 stolen bases in the game, and it's the Dodgers who have 2 of them. Ozzie Smith stole second in the 2nd. Madlock and Guerrero each stole second in the 4th. And here's Fernando. When you compare the 2 teams, the Cardinals committed the fewest errors during the year, and the Dodgers the most, and yet it's a Cardinal error that is the difference. So it's a strange game so far. Doesn't hold up to paper. One hopper banged into right field.
Tudor was just trying to get ahead of him by throwing a strike, and Fernando wouldn't let him do it. He gets a good whack at it. He hits that ball hard past Jack Clark. No chance to get it. Well hit.
Bittersweet for the Dodgers, of course. Valenzuela gets a base hit. That's nice. But, of course, he has a lot of pitching to do, and with 2 out, he doesn't have a chance to sit down. And Mariano Duncan is the batter. Duncan is grounded to second, grounded to third. 0 for 2. Nothing Dodgers, bottom of the 5th. 4-1.
I don't know if Fernando's wearing gloves at first base because he sees the other hitters use them, or to keep his hands warm. How many pitchers do you see use batting gloves on both hands?
1 ball and no strikes. Way out in front of it. 1-1. That's the thing with Tudor. Give you a lot of motion, and then all of a sudden that dead fish, and you're way out in front.
You mentioned Howard Paulette, a 20-game winner, a teammate. I'll tell you, he had a great change of pace, just like Tudor.
That is difficult as trying to tattoo a soap bubble, the way that thing comes up there. 1-1 to Mariano Duncan. Ground ball to short, and the Wizard feeds Tommy Herr, and that's that. So Fernando gets a base hit, and they leave him. And at the end of 5, the Dodgers 1, the Cardinals nothing. Pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KTHI TV 11, Fargo, Grand Forks.
Moving to the 6th inning here at Dodger Stadium. 1 run, 3 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. No runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Cardinals. And John Tudor would be a very normal thing to think of what might have been if Terry Pendleton makes the play on the ground ball by Madlock. There is no difference in the score, but he's down by 1 as we go to the 6th.
McGee's going to lead it off, Vin. He's been chasing the first ball, and the first 2 times he's missed the first pitch, and it's been a curveball.
McGee followed by Herr and then Clark in the 6th. Willie struck out in the 1st inning, fly to center in the 3rd. Big difference. One reason the Dodgers kept him relatively quiet as far as walks. As we told you, they didn't walk him at all. And they usually start him, as Fernando did. They challenge him right away. 0-1. But what a hitter. He put so much pressure on the infield. 20% of his hits over the last 2 years have been infield hits. 20%. So if he got 216 hits or something this year, figure that out, that's 40 hits. Strike. 1-2 the count. McGee for strikeout number 5. And that's 3 in a row. He got Tudor trying to bunt. Then he struck out Coleman. Now he gets McGee. So 5 strikeouts for Fernando.
The only strike he really threw was the first one right down in there. This one low and inside off the strike zone, and that's the book on McGee. If you can get to where you got 2 strikes and can throw in the breaking ball, he will chase it, but he usually doesn't let you get that far. Pretty obvious by the average he had this year.
Now here's Tommy Hurd, doubled and lost a hit, if you remember, on a fine play by Mariano Duncan, who had to charge and short hop and throw him out. Tom 1 for 2. He was the first Cardinal All-Star second baseman since 1968, Julian Javier. Ball 2, 2-0. Talking about the Cardinals, the Cardinal box has a special Hollywood rooter, Elizabeth Taylor. Dodgers 1, Cardinals nothing. Top of the 6th. Missed. So he's behind now 3-0. And of course you got Thunder on deck, Clark and then Cedeno. And a strike. Give you an idea of what a high wire act Fernando is doing. This is the 7th time he has gone 3-1 on a batter. Walked 1 up the hill. Now 2. So the 1-out pass to Tommy Herr. And if you watch the Cardinals at all, you marvel at Tommy Herr. He gets on base almost all the time. I think he's missed 20 games this year where he has failed to get on base either by hit or walk. And there he is again. He's been on base 2 out of 3 tonight. And here's Clark. Jack walked in the first inning, rolled out the 3rd and the 4th. 0 for 1. The Dodgers playing deep. Maldonado shading in towards left center. And we'll keep an eye on her with 1 out. Strike.
I'll tell you, if he puts a play on now, I'd really be surprised with Clark and Cedeno coming up. Because I tell you, if he does, I'm going to lose a tooth and put it under my pillow. Because you want these big gunners to try to give you a lead.
0-2, and Clark, as usual, almost ready to come right out of his shirt front. He swings so hard. 0-2. On deck, Cesar Cedeno. 1-0 Dodgers in the 6th. Her with 31 stolen bases certainly doesn't figure to be a factor. 1 out. Factor is that Clark tries to take a screwball the other way, and the whole right side of the infield is wide open because Cabell is on the bag and Sachs has to fill up the middle. He's almost behind second base.
I tell you, if Clark would promise to hit to the opposite field, the Dodgers would put him on the Christmas list.
That's right. 1-2 the count to Jack. Two balls and 2 strikes.
That rib may have come into play there, Vin. He started to swing, held up, and you could just see him give it just a little wince.
Remember the last time we saw Clark wince, he winced twice, and then the pitcher winced. He hit a 2-run home run. He did everything like Robert Redford except bleed through the shirt when he hit that homer. 2-2. Tommy Hurd first. 1 out. 1-0 Dodgers in the 6th inning. Do you chew gum, or are you a tough guy? Do you chew tobacco?
Tobacco for a while like a dummy, and then I quit and chewed gum. Anybody chews tobacco is just dead wrong.
I'm watching Tommy Hurt chewing on that bubble gum.
Smart.
Screwball takes fair Jack Clark, half a dozen strikeouts, and that means 4 of the last 5 batters Fernando has struck out.
It is a big breaking pitch in a terrific spot, low, and he just swings over it. He had a good cut at it, went all the way around.
He really set him up because all of the previous pitches, remember, were inside.
Oh,
and then he came the other way.
He is not a thrower, obviously a pitcher. You can't put up the numbers that Fernando's put up there by just throwing the ball and hoping.
Now here's Cedeno. Popped up, grounded out to Sachs each time. Strike.
Taken all away for some reason.
Boy, isn't that something? What an acquisition. All because Whitey Herzog had breakfast with pitching coach Jim Cott of the Cincinnati Reds. Tommy Herr held on by Cabell at first, 2 out in the 6th, 1-0 Dodgers. Everybody talks about the great trade Willie McGee, the Cardinals, got for pitcher Bob Sykes. How about years ago, the Cardinals traded Ernie Broglio and got Lou Brock. They made a couple of great ones. 0-1. Ground ball to Sachs. He'll go the short way. In fact, do it himself. He was looking for Duncan, but he was too far over in the hole. So Herr walks, and they leave him. And at the end of 5½, Dodgers 1, Cardinals 0. Mr. Peter Uberov and his lovely wife, Jenny, the commissioner of baseball, and his bride here taking in the festivities. Last time I saw him on camera, he was putting on a raincoat in Toronto. And he is back here in Los Angeles. Applauding Diamond Vision, which just showed a picture of Elizabeth Taylor. Meanwhile, the commissioner brought the final along with him. Toronto 6, Kansas City 5. Al Oliver's pinch RBI single won it for the Jays. Now to present matters. Bottom of the 6th, 1-0 Dodgers. Enos Cabell, Bill Madlock, and Pedro Guerrero. Cabell hit back to the box and struck out. Pendleton shortens up a little bit near the bag at third. And the outfield fanned out all the way. Big bouncer, and Pendleton just did get it. Terry is 5'9", and when he shortened up, that risked it, but he was able to go up in the air because of those tremendous thighs of his. Pendleton with great legs, and he can up the ladder.
Good spring in those legs. Funny kind of kid, too. He says, I use the Ozzie Smith theory of hitting in the field. If I don't get any hits, nobody else is going to get any either. Good play.
He's from Southern California. Terry is certainly well known around these parts. Here's Bill Madlock. You might be interested in the Southern California connection. Terry Pendleton is Port Hueneme. Tom Nitro is from Artesia. Bill Campbell from Corona High. Off speed for a strike. Brian Harper's from San Pedro. Ozzie Smith from Compton. Todd Worrell from Arcadia. And Coach Nick Labus from Laverne. 1-1. Ground ball to the hole, and there's Ozzie, and he lets it get away. And Madlock is going to go for 2. The throw can't pick up by Ozzie. Miracle upon miracle. The shortstop who has won the Gold Glove every year this decade is unable to handle this one.
He was going to see backhanded, an easy play for Ozzie to hit him on the wrist. It's not the artificial surface bounce that you get here. Then he can't find the handle, and Madlock is on at second base. Man, you talk about headline news. Man bites dog. There it is.
I tell you, that ball went off his glove as if it was a Gold Glove.
You could hear it clang, clang.
Now they're going to walk Guerrero intentionally and try to set up the double play.
This surprises me.
Me
It really
too.
does, because Guerrero's not swinging that well, and you would think that they would pitch to him and get the pitch around Marshall. Whitey gets paid for the decisions, though, and it's a decision he makes right now. He took the monkey right off everybody's back, not going out there and saying, hey, just pitch around him, and if he wants to hit it, fine, but don't give him a good ball to hit. If you walk him, okay. Why he didn't do that? He said, put him on, set up the DP.
So Guerrero will get the intentional walk. Madlock at second with 1 out. And the batter will be Mike Marshall. Down in the bullpen, Campbell and Daly are loosening up. And here is Marshall with Madlock at second. Guerrero at first. Also, a thought Tudor is due to bat 4th in the 7th inning. No balls and 1 strike. So add to that the good play by Terry Pendleton. You could see what kind of an inning this might have been. High pop fly into shallow right. Herr is looking for help, and he's got it. It's Cedeno. 2 down. Run is holding, and Mike Scioscia at the plate.
I just want to point out that even though it's a routine fly ball, Tudor is making his way to the mound as he crosses over. He was backing up third. He takes nothing for granted. There you see coming in. Too many times you see a ball like that go up and the pitcher turns into a spectator, and then something happens and he's out of position. But he was exactly where he should have been.
Scioscia flied to left and popped to short. So both times he has gone with the ball, going the other way. See if he continues that pattern or tries to get something to pull. And he gets something to hit up the middle. That's a base hit. Here's Madlock. McGee's throw cut off by Clark. No play at third.
Can throw you out. He has an adequate arm, not an outstanding arm, but that was not a good throw. It was not a good throw. It was cut off, and Pendleton was up, and when it was cut off, he was not in position, and now it's 1st and 3rd.
So Candy Maldonado trying to add to a 2-0 Dodger lead. Maldonado flied to right and struck out 0 for 2. Bill Madlock has scored both runs for the Dodgers. And that's fouled away off to the right. Slipped in on the hands, and Maldonado thumbed it away. So Mike Scioscia singles up the middle to pick up the RBI. Guerrero, who is intentionally walked, gets over to third despite the bad wheel, and Whitey Herzog decides for a little extra plug. Tommy Lasorda, 2 runs richer than when he came to the ballpark. 2-0 Dodgers. Bunt by Maldonado. Pendleton to the plate. Hit his pitcher. He hit Tudor. Tudor was trying to cut across, and the throw hit Tudor.
You talk about a Halloween inning. Look how disgusted John is. A surprise bunt. Pendleton can only make a play at the plate, and there it hits him right in the middle of the back. It's not a Rembrandt, but it still counts. Look at Tudor trying to get out of the way, and it hits him.
That's the first time I've seen a hit off both pitches.
Maldonado with 2 outs, a surprise bunt. Now they're going out. Gene Gieselman is going out to talk to his pitcher because Tudor took a nasty crack. The ball was, I mean, it was thrown hard. It wasn't a lollipop, and you can see that Tudor really took a stinger.
And it was the only play that Pendleton had. He had no chance to get Maldonado. He had to go to the plate and hope to get Guerrero, but there was Tudor trying to get out of the way. So it is 3-0 Dodgers, a somewhat bizarre play between third and home.
Tudor will get a chance to warm up here to see if he's okay as Whitey Herzog and Gene Giesel will make their way off. I tell you, it's been interesting, but it would be an understatement to say that. Everything that can possibly happen seems to have happened.
Well, Bill Madlock has carried in 2. Lasorda cheerleading with a 3-0 lead. Steve Sachs, the batter. Not much speed out there, however. Scioscia at second, Maldonado at first. And remember, Tudor is due up 4th when the Cardinals hit in the 7th inning. So this might be his last inning of work anyway. And that's hitting to left center field, and it's going to go. Base hit. 1 run is in. They will hold Maldonado on a double by Sachs. 4-0 Dodgers.
Here comes Whitey.
Dodgers 4 runs, 7 hits, and no errors. And the Cardinals no runs, 4 hits, and 1 error. And Herzog gesturing with his nodding. Let's see, does he want Daly to come in to pitch to Valenzuela? One thing, John Tudor, who has been absolutely magnificent, is a victim of an error, a stolen base, and a bizarre play as well.
We talked about John Tudor backing up the play and knowing exactly where to go. It cost him this time. Now he's going for the ball. Now he sees Pendleton's going to make the play. He's going to get out of the way, but actually gets in the way as Pendleton has to sidearm it and hits him. Maldonado surprise bunt. Down goes Pendleton as he sidearms it, and Tudor trying to get out of the way gets in the way. Actually over hustling, I would say.
There is one other surprise in this inning. And if you are keeping score, I would think it would come as a shock to you. But the surprise is this. Remember the ground ball that Madlock hit and Ozzie Smith tried to backhand it and it went away? They gave Madlock a double on that ground ball.
Oh, Christmas can't come this early.
That's a bigger surprise than hitting Tudor.
That was an error.
And it probably hurt Tudor just as much. Well, here's Fernando against Ken Daly. 0-1. Here's the play, I think, showing Ozzie Smith that this is a double. I'm an astronaut. Are you kidding me? 0-1 to count. Yeah, that really made it a double, didn't it?
We may get a change on that one.
And there's one loop to left. Coleman is there. So it is a 3-run inning for the Dodgers. And at the end of 6, Dodgers 4, Cards nothing. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. And you can see Pendleton, Porter, and Ozzie Smith due up. Here was the play in the 4th inning. Terry Pendleton had a routine ground ball, and it came up and hit him in the belt buckle, and he couldn't stay with it. Madlock was the hitter. He then stole second and scored on a bloop single to right by Pedro Guerrero. And then the Dodgers got 3 in the 6th to chase Tudor, although Tudor was chased as much, I think, by the throw by Terry Pendleton as anything else. It'll be Pendleton, followed by Porter, and then Smith. Terry grounded to third and singled. And then, much to his chagrin, was picked off first in the 4th inning. I would think, too, that some of these Cardinals who are from Southern California put a little extra pressure on themselves, playing in your own neighborhood. He's from Port Hueneme, and we listed all the Southern Californians on the Cardinal Club. That fella yawning didn't have too much pressure on him.
What a time to catch him, poor guy.
1-1.
You know, the way Fernando started out, didn't think there was a chance for him to get a complete game, but he is one of the best closers in baseball. He goes to the whip in that 7th, 8th, and 9th.
However, as we pointed out at the start of the game, that was one of the big shocks for Fernando after twisting his ankle. He was unable to close 4 games in a row with leads. You can see where he ranks in shutouts with John Tudor, #1. And there's a shot into right center, base hit. So Terry Pendleton singles. It got so that Fernando began to ask people, what am I doing in the 6th? Why is it always the 6th or 7th inning? And believe me, he's thinking that right this second.
He's one of those guys that never looked at the bullpen, but you could go into a streak like that, and the bullpen is stirring right now. Tommy knows it.
And here's Darryl Porter, struck out and singled, and he hits Fernando well. Foul back.
You got to say this for the Cardinals. They're trailing by 4, but they're not taking anything. Pendleton went up and took a whack at the first pitch, missed it, and then got a base hit. Porter got a high pitch, and he went to work on it.
Tom Niedenfuer begins to throw in the Dodger bullpen. 0-1. Half swing. 0-2. Nothing Dodgers, top of the 7th, game 1. Oral Hershiser and Joaquin Andujar tomorrow night. One and 2. Fernando has walked 2 and struck out 6. One and 2. 2 and 2. Hot one, grabbed by Cabell, on the bag for 1, no play at second, but that took a double away from Darryl Porter. As soon as Enos touched the bag, that removed the force, and he knew he couldn't get the ball down there for a tag.
Good thing he's a right-handed thrower. He gets that big glove over there and gets it. Hey, you see what he did?
I did. Yeah,
he tagged with the wrong hand. He nabbed the ball. Watch this. What else is going to happen in this game? This is a Houdini play. Watch this.
One for me and
Hello
one for
there.
you. Caught you. That's a gotcha. Of course, he has a black belt in gotcha. And with 1 out, here is Ozzie Smith. Are you going to tell Bruce from me?
You can say nothing.
Not me. It'll be our secret. 1 ball and no strikes to Ozzie, who singled and flied to left. Should have been charged with an error, but wasn't. And the reason we say he should have been charged with an error, that totally wrecked the 6th inning for John Tudor. Line drive, left field, base hit. Charging Guerrero, they're going to hold Pendleton, and Pedro runs it in to make sure Ozzie Smith stands at first.
That's that 4-run lead. Pendleton trying to draw it, though, and Pedro brings it in. We're, of course, kidding about the Cabell play. If he touches it at all, the guy is out.
Sure. Tito Landrum coming up.
Now, that World Series play when Bernie Carbo scored, that was a whole different thing. You had to tag him. All he had, Cabell had to do was to tag the base.
Tito Landrum. That tells a lot, boy. Tough time walking up the bench, but especially in a league championship series. Hitting for Ken Daly. Runners at first and third, 1 out, 7th inning. And the Dodgers leading the Cardinals 4-0. And Fernando now in the 7th inning blues. Base hit and a run. And you can bet the Dodgers and Fernando are squirming. It looks like another one of those 7th innings. And it never used to be that way.
He's made 109 pitches and over 100. They were going to start checking him, and here comes Lasorda. So even though he has been a good closer up until this little streak you talked about, Vin, Tommy's got that big guy out there, and 4-1 ball game. He's going to make the move right now.
Interesting thing, too, when you get into the bullpen, there's a big comparison as Fernando gets a standing ovation. But again, the 7th inning jumped up and got him.
These are the signs of Mr. Goodwrench.
Baseball salutes the Royals' Dan Quisenberry and the Expos' Jeff Reardon as the game's top relievers. Reardon won the National League Relief Man honors for the first time, while Quisenberry won in the American League for the 5th time in 6 years. Congratulations to these two top relievers, recipients of this year's Rolaids Relief Man Award.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball. Presenting the 1985 National League Rolaids Relief Man of the Year Award is John Carroll, Vice President of Warren & Lambert, maker of Rolaids.
Thanks, Mel. Rolaids never forgets what relief means, so we're proud to recognize the league's top relief men with this award. This year, Rolaids spells relief, Man of the Year, Jeff Reardon.
Thank you, John. I'd also like to thank Rolaids, and it's nice to know they appreciate us relief pitchers. I also like to thank my teammates. Without them, I couldn't have won this award.
This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. We have tried to give you as many angles going into this league championship series as possible, the difference between the two teams, etc. Here's one that certainly bears remembering for as long as this series continues. When you look at the bullpen, in the month of September and the week in October, for that period, the Los Angeles bullpen lost 11 games in that stretch. The Cardinal bullpen lost 15 games all year.
Left fielder, Vin Scully.
Tom Niedenfuer, who has become the mainstay, had a very bad stretch throughout September, where he allowed runs in 8 of his 12 appearances. In fact, he allowed 14 earned runs in 17 innings. Probably a case of the bullpen getting tired, but he is certainly no lead pipe cinch. And with 2 on and 1 out, Madlock plays up, and the hitter is Vince Coleman. Ground ball to the left of Duncan. He has it on the bag to first. Double play. And with the Cardinals, that's the last thing you'd expect. It's only the 4th double play Coleman has hit into this year. 1 run, and it's 4-1 at the end of 6½. I think it was Disraeli who said there are lies, damned lies, and statistics. And when you look at the Dodgers and the Cardinals, the numbers really don't make sense. Who has the most stolen bases? It's the Cardinals, so naturally in the game it's the Dodgers. Right. Who has the poorest fielding team? The Dodgers. So who makes the most errors? The Cardinals. And so it goes.
The only numbers that count are on that scoreboard. The Dodgers have 4 and the Cardinals have 1. Coleman hitting to a double play is one of those plays, though, that I think affects the whole ball club. They'll be talking about it. That's the last thing you would expect.
It
One
sure
pitch, Coleman a double play.
That's another statistic. The Cardinals hit into the fewest plays all year. And Bill Campbell coming out of the bullpen. Of course, Whitey uses his bullpen. It's called bullpen by committee. And he'll use everybody if he has to. 4-1. So Herzog and his Birds are down 4-1 here in the 7th inning in the first game. Ball 2.
We saw Mariano Duncan bunt for a 2-base hit. The way things are going tonight, he'll have to bunt for a 3-base hit. It's been one of those kind of nights.
Maldonado bunting for a base hit, and Pendleton nails his pitcher. They've had stolen bases by Madlock and Guerrero, who are not exactly known for their base running exploits. We had a ground ball get off Ozzie Smith's glove that was incredibly ruled a double, and that's it down the left field line, foul. And the reason we stress that is for John Tudor. If Ozzie makes the play, Tudor's out of the inning in the 6th inning, and it is, well, 1-1 now. But because of that, the play continued, and then Socia singled, Maldonado single, Sachs doubled, etc. Popped up on the right side, and it'll be Jack Clark. Duncan 0 for 4 as he fouls out. However, he came up with a big play on that hard ground ball by Vince Coleman and turned it into a double play. Here is Enos Cabell. Cabell hit back to the box, struck out, grounded to third. And of course he figured, because he made an excellent play defensively on the ball hit by Porter in the 7th inning. If he doesn't make the play on Porter, that's a big inning for the Cardinals. Remember, Pendleton had singled, and then Porter might have had a double. Smith and Landrum followed with singles, but because of Cabell's play, they had to settle for just one.
He made the great play in the pickpocket tag.
The fake tag. 1 ball and no strikes. 1-1. Pickpocket tag.
That's the way I heard an umpire described once. Said it. An umpire's like a pickpocket. Notice him, and his career is over.
1-1. The count to Bill Campbell. Working on Enos Cabell. Big, slow freight. Cabell bailing out of it. He didn't quite know which way to go. 2-1.
It looked like Cabell was watching Campbell's elbow as he threw that. From that center field shot, it looks like Campbell, the pitcher, just kind of disassembles, falls apart as he falls towards the plate.
If I was doing your boot camp and they tell you to pick up things, all I want to see is kneecaps and elbows.
That's it.
And I think there's a couple of other things the DIs would holler. 2-2. 4 runs, 7 hits for the Dodgers.
Watch
and
this
here's
delivery.
Kneecaps and elbows.
He hides behind that front arm, and then he comes at you one part at a time. Comes at you in sections.
They have a nickname within the ball club now. They call their bullpen the Save Family. Ground ball to the hole. Flagged by Pendleton to get him. Good play. The Cardinal pitching staff has 44 saves. So they have picked up the slack after that brilliant Bruce Sutter performance of 45 saves. They have 2 double-figure save men for the first time since Al Raboski and Mike Garman, and that's 10 years ago. The Cardinals have Ken Daly with 11 saves, Jeff Lottie with 19. Matlock's been busy. Grounded out. Was aboard on an error by Pendleton, stole second and scored, then was charitably given a double in the 6th inning and scored. Right. 1-1. Show you what a remarkable and consistent performer. He had a 17-game hitting streak this year, matching his career high. The other one was in 1976. And he lifts a high fly ball to left. Coleman would appear to have room. In fact, he comes up and makes the catch. So the Dodgers are out in order for the first time since the 2nd inning. And at the end of 7, 4-1 Los Angeles. From Dodger Stadium. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting on NBC Sports.
Well, one of the almost became a cliche as we look at Lasorda talking to Peranowski to stop the Cardinals, keep Coleman and McGee off the base. So far they've been able to do it. A combined 0 for 7 with 3 strikeouts.
And McGee has struck out 2 of the 3 times. The other, a fly ball to center. All 3 trips were against Fernando. Now he's looking at Niedenfuhr. Niedenfuhr has picked up an extra pitch. It is the modern-day pitch. It is the one that everyone seems to be learning to throw, the split-fingered fastball, and it has helped him considerably. 0-1. 1-1 to count. The Dodgers. We're in the 8th inning. 1-2.
That had to be in the 90s, I was going to say. That was the best fastball he's throwing. 91 miles per hour.
That's the license plate on that one that just went by. Fisted foul off third and out of play.
I think one of the things about Niedenfuhr, too, that's overlooked is how well he spots the ball. He's got good stuff, but he's got a pretty good idea what he's trying to do.
You know, when you think about it, this year he's had quite a year. 7 wins and 19 saves. He made a lot of contribution. And McGee, tain't funny, McGee, as he strikes out for the 3rd time.
Was that when your better swings really looked like it was completely fooled, just trying to foul it off, hoping to stay alive? I don't think he wants to tape that and use it as a clinic.
Now the batter is Tommy Hurd. Double to left, grounded out, good play by Duncan, and walked in the 6th inning. So Tommy 1 for 2, hitting .500.
In the 90s has to be consistently. 93, that one. You can see it from up here. The ball's bending in the middle like somebody's pouring milk.
I lost interest in that speed gun. Ground foul.
When?
The Dodgers were playing in San Diego, and they brought in a pitcher, and he warmed up, and the batter was Carmelo Martinez. Now, after the game, a scout said to me, boy, that pitcher, you know, in his 8 warm-up tosses, he got his warm-ups to 97. And you know that first pitch he made to Maldonado, it was 90 to Martinez, was 96. And I said, yeah, but Martinez hit it in the upper deck for a 3-run home run. The guy said, what does that tell you? I said, fix your speed gun. I know, I just don't mean much anymore. They're just numbers. I think, and I'm sure you'd agree, it is not the sheer velocity of the pitch,
no,
but whether it's moving around at all.
Well, a speed gun can tell you how fast, but it doesn't tell you if the ball is moving.
Right.
The ball's got to move. On the one that the guy threw Martinez, it moved, but the wrong way. It tore out a row of seats.
Right. Here is Jack Clark. Walk, grounded to 3rd, struck out, 0 for 2. Followed by Cedeno. And a good bunt because Madlock was very deep. No play.
You can see what Clark is thinking. They need 3 runs. He wants to get on base. Maybe Cedeno will pop one and be 1 run behind. He had a cinch base hit if he gets it on the ground. And he's not trying to pad that average. He just wants to get on, hoping that lightning can strike. Good play.
The speed gun is like looking at the hit column. The Cardinals have out-hit the Dodgers. Cardinals now have 8 hits, the Dodgers 7, and the score, Dodgers 4, Cardinals 1. Cedeno has popped up to Sachs, grounded to Sachs, and grounded to Sachs again, so he's got that play down cold.
You know what I thought you were going to say? It was like the game-winning RBI.
Oh,
it tells you something, but it really means nothing.
Nothing. Two out, top of the 8th. Clark at first, and it's 4-1 Dodgers. Oh, he was going to try and hit that to the Dominican.
He had just made up his mind. This is going to be a fastball, and I'm going to swing. That ball was out of the strike zone, but the high fastball looks so big, and it's pretty simple. The high fastball, you see the whole ball. When the ball is low, you only see half of it. Of course, the good hitter hits that half. The bad hitter misses the whole ball.
You know what, in retrospect, I'm a little surprised at the Cardinals because they are certainly as aware of it as I am and you are about Fernando and his ankle. Big chopper to Madlock. It's a fair ball, and the throw to Cabell. Daddy Longlegs over there open up like a pair of scissors. We talk about the surprise of the Cardinals after we take another look. First, Madlock has to go up, and watch Cabell open up those scissors. And at the end of 7.5, 4-1 Dodgers.
Sure, trailing suspects through back streets and dark alleys is dangerous work, but it's worth it. Because after cracking a tough case, I opened one of these, a light beer from Miller. After tracking down hot leads all day, a cold light sure tastes great. And life's less filling, too, with a third less calories than their regular beer. And you can't afford to get filled up in this line of work.
Rossini.
Good news, lady. Found your dog.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Cabell really did a stretch job on that last play, and I guess Watch it here. Now, he does something else. Look at the glove, reaching out for it. Too many times you see a guy stretch, and then he's got the glove next to his body in tight, and he loses whatever he picked up with the stretch.
So Pedro Guerrero, followed by Mike Marshall and then Mike Socia in the 8th inning, and Todd Worrell, another local boy, is down in the pen with Bill Campbell pitching. Campbell working on Guerrero. Guerrero has struck out, singled, and was walked intentionally. 1 for 2. Carlos Diaz throwing in the Dodger bullpen. It's game 1 of the National League Championship Series, and you see Diaz in the Dodger pen. Dodgers leading 4-1. You know, after looking at him all year, I can't believe the swings I've been seeing him take tonight.
You could see that really hurt him, too, when he swung and missed. He's regrouping right now, trying to rewind or get that body back together, especially that hand. You can see it taped. He's got that Manimoto bowling wrist protector on.
He tried a batting glove on top of that thing the first time, and it didn't work. So he took the other batting glove off. The tape goes all the way around the base of the left thumb, across the knuckles, and as you can see, all the way, well, halfway up at least to the forearm. Two and one. All three. 3-1 to count. We have the paid attendance. And here at Dodger Stadium for game 1, 55,270. In the famous words of P.T. Barnum, every crowd has a silver lining. There's a lot of silver here.
Oh, boy.
3-1. Ground ball to the hole. Base hit. Pedro Guerrero grounding one. Ozzie Smith that had given a week's salary to handle it.
Almost got it, but just not enough.
So Guerrero at first, nobody out in the 8th, 4-1 Dodgers, and Mike Marshall coming up, and Whitey coming out to talk, and we might have a 2-for-1 switch. Cedeno made the last out. So what they'll do is put Andy Van Slyke in the number 9 slot in right field and put the new pitcher, Worrell, in Cedeno's spot. So Van Slyke will bat 9th. And Todd Worrell, who's from nearby Arcadia, will be called in from the bullpen. And Ozzie comes up a buck short. It is 4-1 Dodgers in the 8th inning. With Elizabeth Taylor.
You have to be a real star to wear a Dodger jacket and a St. Louis Cardinals box. See Mary Shanedeans, Red Shanedeans, his wife behind over there.
The lady in the fur coat, Marge Everett, and of course that makes you think of the Breeders' Cup. We're going to the bottom of the 8th inning, and Todd Worrell, and boy, what a story he has been. They called him up from Louisville on the 26th of August, and since that time, this big kid from Arcadia has 3 wins and 5 saves. In fact, he's been successful in all 5 of his save opportunities. And can he throw hard, as Mike Marshall will find out. Fastball. He has struck out 17 hitters in 21 innings. He has Guerrero at first. Nobody out in the 8th. Dodgers leading 4-1. And if you're not keeping score, Pendleton, Porter, and Smith are due up with Van Slyke batting 9th in the 9th inning. High pop fly down the right field line. Van Slyke's going to get his feet wet right away. In foul ground. We told you earlier about how Mike Socia blocks the plate. Look at this collision with Jack Clark. Watch. And it knocked Socia unconscious. And Clark was groggy and went down for the mandatory 8 count. Fortunately, both men recovered, but it was a terrifying collision at the time. Well, Mike Socia has long since healed from that collision. Coming up to the plate, Jack Clark goes back to his position at first, and he's okay. Amazing that he would tear his rib cage swinging a bat and not in the collision with Sosa. Sosa's 1 for 3. With the runner going, a fly ball to center, so they played hit and run. McGee puts that down for the second out. Candy Maldonado is due up, but I would expect Kenny Landreau. Maldonado is now going back to the dugout. And that's Landreau, number 44, coming up. So Landreau will hit for Maldonado and then finish up in center.
Attention, please. For the Dodgers, batting for the center fielder, Maldonado, number 44.
By the way, we have a moment, and to get to the real world and what is truly important, I'd like to remind you to stay tuned following your local news for an NBC News special report, Hijack Justice, with Tom Brokaw, followed by The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson, and Late Night with David Letterman. Of course, on the West Coast, the news special, Tonight Show and David Letterman, will be seen starting at 11:30 p.m. But Hijack Justice. Tommy Lasorda is down to the last straw. Whitey Herzog has still got plenty of chewing tobacco, so we've got a lot of baseball left. We're in the bottom of the 8th. It is 4-1 Dodgers. And here's Landreau. Guerrero at first, held on by Clark. Landreau has not been a good hitter coming off the bench. He's hitting less than 200 as a pinch hitter. First, remember, he stole second in the 4th inning.
And Joey Amalfitano's very busy down there at third base, flashing signs. It seems that when a pitcher throws to first, the play goes on right after that.
Stroke foul outside of third. You might remember Landreau began his career with the California Angels, was sent to Minnesota in the deal that sent Rod Carew to the California Angels. At one stage at Minnesota, Kenny had a 31-game hitting streak. He has hit 300 once in his career. And watching him a lot over the years, I'm amazed that he hasn't hit 300 here. He has such a good stroke. 0-1. Guerrero goes. Swung on and missed, and the throw, he's stolen it. His second stolen base, and the Dodgers' third stolen base of the night. Can you believe it?
There's no doubt that Lasorda is sending a message to the Cardinals. You think you can run, we can run. Seemed like the ball was there in plenty of time, a bit high. Ozzie had to, and Guerrero just did hold on to that bag. Good ball to handle. Porter seemed to get rid of it in good shape. The fact that it was not on the first base side made the difference.
Now Landreau trying to give him a ride home. Fouled away. The Dodgers heat up their bullpen. Kenny Howell and Carlos Diaz. The Cardinals have Ricky Horton. That's Howell, the inside man. Rick Honeycutt now is throwing with Howell, not Diaz. 0-2 to Landreau. Dirt goes all the way to the screen. Guerrero to third, rounding and holding.
What's he got in his left hand, Guerrero? It's like he was carrying something. There was a breaking ball that Porter just didn't seem to get in front of. Whoa, way low and inside. Guerrero, some ideas. Now in his left hand, looks like he's carrying a glove.
1-2. High fly ball to Willie McGee. So they will leave Guerrero at third. And in the ninth inning, Pendleton, Porter, and Smith. Dodgers 4, Cardinals 1 at the end of 8. Game 1 of the 1985 National League Championship Series. To the ninth inning. Checking the Dodgers. Did not appear to be any changes. Naturally, we told you Landro hit from Maldonado. And Lasorda talking to Bill Russell with Coach Manny Mota sitting quietly and listening. It'll be Terry Pendleton, Darrell Porter, and Ozzie Smith. 4 runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 8 hits for the Cardinals. And 1 error. Terry Pendleton grounded out and then had 2 singles. But he was involved in the error in the 4th inning. That led to the Dodgers' first run.
As much as the victory, I think it's important the way the Dodgers have done it. They have completely dominated this game, and Lasorda and the Dodgers have sent a message over to that Cardinal dugout. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow.
For the Dodgers tomorrow, they have to feel they're going with Orel Hershiser, who has had a phenomenal year. Then you figure that Hershiser has not lost here against Joaquin Andujar for 120, but struggled so much the last part of the season. Whoops. 1-2.
miles an hour, that fastball, in a precarious spot. High and tight. 2-strike count, just moved him right off the plate.
1-2 to Terry Pendleton. Two and 2. Niedenfuhr and Socha. The infield of Cabell, Sachs, Duncan, and Madlock. The outfield, Guerrero, Landro, and Marshall. The second strikeout for Tom Niedenfuhr and the 8th Cardinal to strike out. We've decided that tonight's NBC Light Beer from Miller Players of the Game would be Pedro Guerrero and Dodger pitcher Fernando Valenzuela. Light Beer from Miller happy to present a check for $1,000 in the names of Pedro Guerrero and Fernando Valenzuela to help fight multiple sclerosis. Strike to Darrell Porter, struck out, singled, and grounded out. On deck, Ozzie Smith. When the Dodgers won 7 of 12 during the regular season with the Cardinals, they won 4 of the 6 here at Dodger Stadium. And as we pointed out, in 8 of those 12 games, the Dodger pitchers allowed the Cardinals 3 runs or less. And of course, as you see, they've allowed just 1 tonight. 1-1. That's it.
He's just rearing back and firing in the low 90s, 92.
Well, he's asked to work 2 2/3 innings, picking up for Fernando. Check swing, look at third, no swing, says Terry Tatum. 2-2. High pop fly, back a third, slicing foul. Madlock is there and then thought he heard footsteps. It was Madlock's play all the way. And he should have made the play.
He had plenty of time waiting for it. He's going to make it here, and all of a sudden he hears something. He says, well, I'll get out of here. And he does. And that's a mistake.
Now we'll see what happens, whether Porter can cash it in or not. Madlock has been fortunate tonight. He got aboard on an error by Pendleton, stole second and scored. Got aboard on a ground ball that was charitably ruled a double off Ozzie Smith's glove and scored. And now Madlock shies away on a foul ball, and we'll see what Porter does. No error on the play. High pop fly, and this time it will be Sachs. Remember the old days? If a fella made a bad play on a foul ball, you deferred judgment. And if the hitter then got on base, then you charged the guy with an error. But they wiped that out of the book. Then, of course, there's been a discussion on that play where there ought to be a team error if two men get together and back off. But baseball has resisted one change, and they have made a change in the other. Then the Cardinals are down to their last out. Ozzie Smith. Ozzie twice single to left and flied to left. Whoa. Well, what do you think? You can't think Whitey's down very much when he's got a 20-game winner going tomorrow night.
No way. You got winners and you got losers, and you got to win 4 to win this thing.
And boy, that's a big difference. Instead of best 3 out of 5, making it 4 out of 7. 1-1 to count.
You think it'll take before you hear somebody on the first base side say, well, all we wanted was a split?
That's right. Yeah.
You always say that when you're losing by 3 in the ninth and 2 outs and nobody on.
1 ball, 1 strike. Little foul out of play, 1-2. But it has been a remarkable game, not for just the things that have happened, but they have happened out of sync. It's the Cardinals who made the error. It's the Dodgers who stole the bases. And, of course, the crowd on its feet looking for the last out. 1-2. Now back. Tom Niedenfuhr would qualify for a save tonight. The pitches of record. Fernando to get the win, and John Tudor the loss. Might have been that little split finger job he's working on. 2-2. He's going to stick him with a fork.
And that was a good time to throw it right there, because he's just been rearing back and humming. He's been firing the ball, as old Diz would say.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Popped in the air, foul out of play. 55,270 here at Dodger Stadium tonight. And a similar crowd, I'm sure, tomorrow night.
Would you believe that Joe Lasorda almost got that foul ball? Tommy's wife.
Charlotte, it did come close. 2 balls, 2 strikes. High pop foul, and it's Duncan saying, I got it. And he's got it. Again, we'd like to remind you to stay tuned following your local news for an NBC News special report, Hijack Justice with Tom Brokaw, followed by The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson and Late Night with David Letterman. On the West Coast, the news special, Tonight Show and David Letterman will be seen starting at 11:30 p.m. 4 runs, 8 hits, and no errors for the Dodgers. 1 run, 8 hits, and 1 error for the Cardinals. Tomorrow night, Game 2, Joaquin Andujar and Oral Hershiser. Hope you'll pull up a chair and be with us. For Joe Garagiola, this is Vin Scully wishing you a very pleasant good evening.